Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, friends, followers. How are you doing? It's been a few weeks since I made my first video, and I thought today is a good day to make another one. The weather is bad, and it's a perfect day to reflect and to share our knowledge, my knowledge in this case, and my journey with God, with everyone who would like to hear about it. As you know, I always start my videos with a disclaimer or maybe two disclaimers, and that is, first of all, this is my personal journey I share with you. It's my experiences, my life journey, so far, the lessons I've learned, and I love to share them because I love to bring some awareness about the issues that we keep ignoring or about things that we think are not important in this life, because it seems that humanity has lost its way, and it seems we cannot figure out what's going wrong, or maybe we do know what's going wrong, but we need somebody to, knock some sense into our skulls. The first disclaimer is that I do not represent anybody. I represent only my own movement, my own personal journey, and so I do not speak on behalf of any organization, any group of people, and anybody that invests in me, pays me, or tells me to do or say anything I say. The second disclaimer is this is my journey I'm sharing. These are the lessons I have learned from studying the Bible, from my walk with God. And this is not the absolute truth. This is my own truth, my personal truth about me and my life. So if something does not resonate, if something does not feel right for you, you don't agree, whatever, that's okay. You are not here to accept anything that is told to you, like straightforward. You are here to listen, to open your mind, and to understand another point of view, and to reflect as to how true that can be, or how does it apply in your life, or what would you like to discover more about it, and how would you like to expand that knowledge. So that is what I'm doing here with these videos. I invite people to go deeper. That is why the name of this movement is called the Deeper Life Movement. And the third disclaimer is I haven't yet told you anything about who I am, what I do, why am I here, in details. Why am I doing these videos in details? What is the purpose? And what is this Deeper Life Movement? What is it all about? What does it stand for? And the reason is that it's a little bit soon for that. This is still work in progress. So at the right moment, I will make a separate video about who I am and why do I think that I'm doing the right thing by sharing my journey with you. But for now, I would like to focus on something else. Today, I would like to speak about a topic. As you know, in these videos that I make, I combine three main elements. The first one is my personal journey, my life lessons. The second one is the Bible and what it teaches us, and how the connection is made within the lessons that I have from the Bible and my own life. How have I applied in my own life and implemented the lessons and everything that this book has taught me. And the third element is I apply all of that within our society today. That is, I love to use my own life and the Word of God as a mirror as to the situation we find ourselves in as societies all around the world, because we often think that if we live in one society, we often think, well, nobody's worse than us, this society is bad, we are doomed, everything is going wrong. That's not true. The societies all around the world have issues. We have all problems. And that is why I'm touching this on a global level and not just within one culture or within one country. So you can notice there is then 3 levels, right? It's the personal journey, is the society, because we are a reflection of everything happens around us, and the other way around, the society we live in is a reflection of who we really are and what we really do, because it's a wave that goes and expands. We don't do things just for us. We impact and we have consequences, good or bad, within the society as well. So that is why the impact is much bigger and broader. That's why I like to treat it that way, because we have to see the problems. The way I see the problems are by implementing the helicopter view. I don't like to lose myself into details. I like to implement the big view to see the whole problem and then deal with it. So these are the disclaimers before we start. And today I would like to talk to you about Ecclesiastes. I am in the book of Ecclesiastes. It's a little bit difficult to pronounce, so I apologize in advance if I from time to time make some mistakes in the pronunciation. And that comes from Old Greek, ecclesia, which is literally translated one who gathers the church or the assembly. So basically, we could say in modern times, we could call that the preacher, right? The preaching of the preacher. That's how I translate it. There are, of course, many other interpretations, much more professional, from people and pastors that have dedicated their lives to teaching the Word of God. The reason that I stopped in this chapter is I would like to focus on the first 2 chapters today, because this is an entire book, of course. This is a book written by King Solomon, that is the son of King David. After David passed, he left the kingdom in the hands of his son, King Solomon. I will tell you about King Solomon in a while, but first I would like to tell you the topic of today. The topic of today is, I have made some notes here about it, so I'm going to go from time to time in my notes, because I tend to forget my point and maybe I deviate from my main point, which is why I look in my notes from time to time. So I would like to ask for your understanding in that. These are my notes that I take after every study that I do. And of course, I share them with you. I'm not going to share everything, but I'm going to share the main points that I think are important for this lesson, for this message. Because if I call it lesson, it sounds like I am teaching in the class. So I have several titles here. You just take with you whatever resonates. First, searching for purpose and meaning. That is the first title. Then we have another title that I had written somewhere here, which is A Quest to Figure Out Life, or The Profitless Cycle of Life in a Fallen World. I think this is the most applicable title. And it's about vanity. It's about vanity. Now, I'm sure you know what vanity means, but I will just read from vocabulary how it's exactly translated. Vanity means taking its admiration of one's own appearance or achievement, pride in abilities, qualities, achievements, and taking identity in them. So we do not only take pride in what we do, but we also identify, right? When we introduce ourselves somewhere, in a room, in a group, wherever, we identify ourselves with our achievements. We say, I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor, I'm an entrepreneur, I have won this and that, my article appeared in this magazine, my book has been published in so many countries. That's where we take pride, and we identify with that, because deep down we think that is who we are. Vanity, the root of the word vanity comes from Latin, and it means emptiness, being empty. Yet everything we do in our world today, everything around us is about all about vanity, isn't it? So that's what I want to talk about to you today. There are the first 2 chapters I would like to focus on. And because these chapters are long, I won't be reading all of them. I will read only the sentences that are important for this lesson, that I think apply the best. So I'm going to read first from the first chapter, tell you a little bit Solomon and what happened while he was writing this book and why he wrote this book. And then we're going to go into chapter 2 to the next message, because there's another message there, a conclusion that Solomon has to come with about life. So let me read the important sentences for this chapter 1. The preacher speaks of vanity. That is, the preacher in this case is the son of David. The words of the preacher, the son of David, king in Jerusalem. Vanity of vanities, says the preacher, vanity of vanities, all is vanity. What profit has a man of all his labor which he takes under the sun? So all is vanity. What good have we seen from everything we do under the sun? So basically on this earth, in our existence. What have we seen from everything that we do? What's the purpose? And right here, this sentence tells us that Solomon didn't know himself what the purpose of life was. Not just the purpose of his life, but the purpose of life in general. Life is an endless circle. One generation passes away and another generation comes in, but the earth abides forever. So the world and the earth keeps spinning no matter what. It goes on and on. Same cycle, repetition. All the rivers run into the sea, yet the sea is not full. Unto the place from whence the rivers come, thither they return again. All things are full of labor, man cannot utter it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. So no matter what we do, we are never happy, we are never satisfied, right? Whatever we see, not enough. Whatever we hear, not enough. Nothing new under the sun. The thing that has been, it is that which shall be. Nothing new under the sun. There's nothing new. It's the same on and on. And that which is done is that which shall be done again. And there is no new thing under the sun. Is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new? It has been already of all time, which was before us. There is no remembrance of former things, neither shall there be any remembrance of things that are to come with those that shall come after. Now, then the preacher tells us that he has tried to find out what the meaning of life is, and if everything is vanity, and why is all vanity. And he says, and I gave my heart to seek and search out by wisdom concerning all things that are done under heaven. I have seen all the works that are done under the sun, and behold, all is vanity and vexation of spirit. This is what Solomon is telling us. That which is crooked cannot be made straight, and that which is wanting cannot be numbered. And I gave my heart to know wisdom and to know madness and folly. I perceived that this also is vexation of spirit. For in much wisdom is much grief, and he that increases knowledge increases sorrow. So let's start with this word wisdom here. You know why? Because I would like to tell you about something about Solomon, the story of Solomon. Actually, Solomon, as I said, was king of David, son of David, sorry. He became king at a very early age. Now there is some contradiction as of the age that Solomon became king within the literature concerning the word of God. But some say he was 14 years old when he became king of Israel, and others say he was 16, 17. So in the literature, is basically this 15, 16 is the age that is vastly and firmly established, so that there all these debates are basically avoided. When Solomon, now you probably heard of Solomon, the Songs of Solomon, or you probably heard of the wisdom of Solomon. Solomon is the most wisdomous king of Israel. When somebody says, well, you have a lot of wisdom like King Solomon, or who do you think you are with your wisdom? King Solomon, right? You have certainly heard, even if you never read the Bible, of the wisdom of King Solomon. King Solomon was very, very wisdomous man and king. But that's not all. When King Solomon was called to become king, God appeared in his dream. And he said to him, ask me anything you want, because God was very pleased with King David, his father. And he said, ask me for anything and I will grant it to you. And King Solomon, imagine 14 years old or 15 years old, becoming king. We cannot even imagine that nowadays, right? The responsibility, the heaviness on his shoulder, because he was coming after King David. He had to fill his dad's shoes. That was not an easy task. Not an easy task at all, because King David was the favorite king. The standards he had set were very high. So the very least that Solomon had to do was fill his father's shoes and keep that standard on that level, right? So that people would be just as satisfied, just as happy under his reign and under his kingdom, in his kingdom. So he said I can imagine he would have been scared and very, very intimidated by this position he had to fill. And Solomon told God, dear God, I want nothing from you but wisdom. I need the wisdom in order to reign this kingdom, in order to keep these people just as happy and satisfied as my dad did. I cannot guide and lead. I cannot be a good leader without wisdom. That is the first thing I need. I am very young, right? That's what I would have thought as well. I am very young. I don't have any experience in leading a country. That is not an easy task. You can't just do that just because you're called to do it. Yes, you might be chosen to do something, but what if you don't have the right tools to do it? And as I said in the previous video, when God calls you to do something, he will equip you with the right things to do it, just like he did for his father, King David. That's why God asked him, what do you need? I'm here for you. And he asked for wisdom. And the Bible tells us that God was so pleased with his answer. Why was he pleased with his answer? Because Solomon did not ask for worldly pleasures. He did not ask for money, for wealth, for health, for wives or mistresses or relationships or a lot of gold or a lot of palaces or a lot of houses or whatever. That didn't matter to him. He asked for wisdom. And God was very pleased with him because he gave the right answer. Now, here is the first lesson. Because the question here would be, yeah, but God knows all the time what we need and what we want, right? Before we even ask for it. That's true. He knows. But that was a test for Solomon. When God calls you to do something, he will test you. He will test your heart. Why? Two reasons. First, he wants to see if you really, really, really want it. Because it could be a momental thing. It could be a jumping emotionally into something. You don't even want it. You think, oh, that's for me. That's for me. You know, these things we buy in the store, we go home and we think, why did I buy this? I don't even need this, right? It was a momentary lapse. It was something in the heat of the moment that we did. So that is the first reason he tests our heart. And the second one is he needs to make sure that you will be able to handle your calling. Calling you to be a king is big, huge calling. And he had to make sure that Solomon was asking for the right thing to reign properly as a good king, strong king. So for those two reasons, he tested his heart. And nowadays, we go through the same experiences. God will test us, not just for our callings, but also in all kinds of situations. In a relationship with someone, he will test you. He will give you what you prayed for, that man, that woman that you wanted. And then he will see if you are able to keep it. That is a test you have to pass. Because he will bring you another woman or another man that looks a little bit better, is prettier, maybe more educated. And you'll fall for it because you think, wow, she looks better. She's the love I want. She's the one I love. He's the one I want for the rest of my life. Not understanding that you have already what you need for your life. And then you let that person that God sent in your life go. And you chase something that's meaningless. And you lose that too, of course, because that was a test and you failed. And in this case, God tested Solomon and his heart. Not because he didn't know what Solomon was about to ask for. He knew he was going to ask for wisdom. God knows everything before we even ask. He knows it. But he wanted to know if Solomon will pass the test. And when he passed the test, he blessed him not only with wisdom, because he was pleased with his answer. He gave him not only the wisdom he needed, he gave him everything else that he didn't ask for. Wealth, everything. Relationships, women, gold, houses, temples, everything. What happens with Solomon after that is that Solomon was blessed with everything he needed and things he didn't even ask for. He had 200 wives, concubines, a big network of women. He had everything. But he fumbled it. That's what the story says about Solomon throughout the Bible. And because he fumbled everything God gave him, he comes to the realization that everything that he did outside God, and whatever purpose he used everything he had for, it was all vanity. It was meaningless. Now, story goes that Solomon married several wives. One of the wives he married was from the neighboring countries, because he wanted to keep the alliances going and to keep the, back then that's how it was done, of course, in order to keep your alliances with your enemies and not be attacked. Of course, what you did was you would create family bonds, and you would marry the wives and the girls from these neighboring countries so that there wouldn't be any conflicts, right? And so far, nothing wrong with that, right? We still do it. If you see royal families nowadays, the monarchies, the way they do everything, it's also deeply rooted in that interest of collaborating together for our common interests. It's not just love, right? And he married one of the pharaoh's daughter from Egypt. Now, of course, this was a big offense to God, because God has spent 40 years. If you read the story of Moses, you'll understand how much and how hard it was for these people, the Jews, to free themselves from Egypt. It went on 40 years, a trip that was supposed to be only a few weeks. It went on 40 years. And God had freed them. God had given them freedom. And then here goes Solomon, and he marries his enemy, basically, if you put it on plain terms. He marries the daughter of Egypt's Pharaoh. And he goes further with his sin. So basically, this is the first sin he committed against the word of God, against the promise of God. He not only married her, but other women as well. But he also ended up praying to the same gods that these women were praying to. If you read about Egypt and what they worshipped back then, they didn't worship the same God as Solomon. They didn't believe in one God. Egypt had many gods. They worshipped monuments and statues and golden calves and whatever, but they didn't worship the only God that Solomon did and his people did. He went so far with his sin that he would not only pray to these gods because of his wives. And that is the second lesson that comes here. When we go in life with the wrong people, it's not just about having the wrong people in our lives. It's about starting to become like them and starting to worship the things that they worship. Right? Have you heard of the expression, well, you've become like your wife, you've become like your husband. You two like two peas in a pod. You know that expression? I say it all the time after many years. When I talk to our relatives or something, we make jokes and I say, well, after so many years with my husband, I don't know where he begins and where I begin, because we have become so similar to each other, because you exchange behaviors, energies, beliefs with each other. It's not just co-living together and co-creating. You come closer to one another and you start mirroring each other. You start looking like each other. You start believing in what the other one is believing. And in this case, Solomon was doing exactly the same thing. He started to believe in what his wives were believing, in these Egyptian gods. And he started moving away and withdrawing from the only God he believed in, he worshipped, and the one that had blessed him with everything that he had. He basically started to forget everything that he had ever learned about God and who he was. And I can imagine how terrifying that would have been. How sad that is. That because of your wrong choices in life, you will end up ruining your life, destroying everything you have, destroying your character, destroying your identity. This was not Solomon's identity. It went so far and became so wicked that he started worshipping, sacrificing children in the altar of God, in the same temple that he had built for God, because of these other gods that he started worshipping. So then The question is here, when he writes this book, you can feel the frustration about what he's saying, because he had it all and he lost it because he thought that once you have God's blessings, there is no way to lose it all, right? Isn't that what we think nowadays? We think just because God blessed us once or twice, that it's going to be the same way. Even though we become wicked and we go against God's words and everything, that we still think he's going to bless us. Well, sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he stops blessing you because you have to realize what you have done and you have to learn the lesson. Now, one of the most important messages that I got by studying this chapter is that Solomon did not question the existence of God. He didn't question if God existed. There was no question mark there. He knew God existed. His dilemma was if God mattered in life, in his life, and in everything that he did. So then, in the second part, here where he says, I gave my heart to know wisdom and to know madness and folly, and it was all vanity. Now, we don't know at what point in his life he came after that lesson that all is vanity, but I'm going to go into chapter 2 first to read something about that. The ways that he became, he lost his way, basically. He literally turned to working a lot, laughing a lot, drinking a lot, and having a lot of sexual relationships. That is how he thought he would numb the pain and fill the void in his heart. In chapter 2, he speaks about the vanity of pleasure and achievement. That's the title. I said in my heart, go now, I will prove thee with mirth, therefore enjoy pleasure, and behold, this also is vanity. I said of laughter, it is mad, and of mirth, what does it? So this is the first thing he tried to distract himself and to fill his emptiness. Because here's what happens. Once you get into sin, it keeps going. You need only that one first thing. That one wrong woman he married was enough for him to do everything wrong for the rest of his life. Because one sin will attract another sin. The sins that we have in our lives and we commit, they are not isolated acts one from another. They are not separate things that we do. And they stay there. They expand. They grow. For me personally, every time I notice that sin is approaching me or that I am doing something wrong that pushes me in the direction of sin, I can immediately see how that expands in the next level and then the next level. And I always use a very funny quote. I make fun actually of myself sometimes because, sometimes the devil should not be taken that seriously. And I always say, boy, you don't lose any time, do you? But that's just a funny quote for myself to remember and to remind myself to be careful. To be careful. because sin is sneaky. He is very sneaky. He will come in a very, very, very polite, dressed up nicely, with a big smile on his face. Yeah, with lots of compliments. But you know what happens next, right? So that was the first thing he did. What he did was he invited a lot of people in his palace. He created like a big, big party, fun, humoristic shows, whatever we can call them nowadays. There is no much details in the Bible about how exactly they looked, but basically a lot of people who would make jokes and make him laugh, because he thought, if I laugh a lot, I'm going to fill in the hole inside of me. And don't get me wrong, I'm all about laughing. There's nothing wrong with laughing. Laughing is not a sin or anything. We need humor, we need comedy throughout life. You know, we should not be all the time very serious about everything. Of course, we need laughs. I love to laugh myself. But that is not the answer to our problems. Then the second thing he did was he got into wine. He got into drinking. He drank a lot all the time because he could. He was the king. He had anything a king and any person would wish for and could wish for. So he drank a lot. He probably got drunk. Isn't that what happens nowadays? People get drunk all the time. They become addicted to alcohol, drugs, sex, trying to numb the pain, trying to forget the troubles, trying to fill that void. Until one day they wake up and they realize it was all vanity, meaningless, pointless. The third thing he got into was work. He was a workaholic, basically, if we will to translate it in modern times language. Chapter 2, paragraph 4 says, I made me great works. I builded me houses. I planted me vineyards. I made me gardens and orchards, and I planted trees in them and all kinds of fruits. I made me pools of water to water therewith, and wood that bringeth forth trees. I got me servants and maidens, and had servants born in my house. Also I had great possessions of great and small cattle above all that were in Jerusalem before me, more than anybody else, more than anybody else. I gathered me also silver and gold, and the peculiar treasure of kings and of provinces. I got me men singers and women singers, and the delights of the sons of men as musical instruments, and all of that sorts. So I was great, and increased more than all that were before me in Jerusalem. Also my wisdom remained with me. And whatsoever my eyes desired, I kept not from them. So whatever I saw, I wished upon. Lust, money, everything. I withheld not my heart from any joy. I was all in. I was all in. Isn't that what the world tells us nowadays? Have you ever noticed how we judge people who live a simple life? People who aren't into this big rat race of success and fame and achievements and money and partners and big houses, and they don't dress in expensive clothes and jewelries, and we think of them, what a boring life he must have, even though that person could be very happy. That is how shallow we live nowadays. What we have made of our societies is a shallow existence, a shallow experience of life. That is one of the reasons that I have named this channel the Deeper Life Movement, because there is a deeper life. But back to the topic. We judge such people that have a very simple life. But let me tell you a secret. These people know the best what life is all about. We have a sickness in our society that we call distraction. Yeah? All of these things Solomon is talking about, those are the distractions of the enemy. Why? Because he doesn't want us to be close to God. Because worshiping God and walking with God in life requires that you take responsibility for your life. It requires you living a meaningful life. You living a life based on values, based on principles and norms, building societies. This is the backbone of our society, the values that we have. But the enemy attacks all of these things. Our existence nowadays is shallow because we have moved away from all these values and principles that are very important to our existence. And the more we move away from that, the weaker becomes our connection to God. And here's the secret. Here's the entire secret. It's not just about moving away from God and what He wants us to live for and how to live life. It's about the fact that when we move away from God, He removes His hand upon us. He removes His protection. We become vulnerable to the enemy. We become easier to manipulate. We become easier to attack. Have you noticed who are these people among our society that are most suffering from these sins? Those are usually the people that have no interest in living a valuable life. They have no interest in that. And the reason that I'm saying it is a sickness of the society is because of the fact that we are taught that those values are not important. Integrity, morality, respect, tolerance, love, genuine love, not with interest and hidden agendas, but genuine love. That's not interesting. And when we see these people that live a simple life, we go, come on, that is boring. Life offers you so much. You should have fun. Life is vibrant. Life is filled with energy. You have to live. Come on, you are missing opportunities out there. That is what the world teaches us, doesn't it? And the reason that I'm saying it's a sickness, it's because we have reached the point where we cannot live a quiet life. That is the life God wants us to live, a life without drama, a life without toxicity, without lies, without rumors, without manipulation. I don't know about you, I know a lot of people who cannot live a quiet life. It's boring to them. If there is no drama in it, no crying, no screaming, no fighting, no constant struggle, constant sin from one woman to another, that they can live any other way. They don't know how to live without that. That is the toxicity that feeds them all the time. And I'm not talking about one person. This is our entire society I'm speaking about. This is the society we have created. If we don't have the distractions around us, we don't know how to live. That's boring. It's too quiet. It's peaceful. I don't understand. I have things to go on in my life. I need noise all the time in the background. Otherwise, I can't enjoy. I feel like it's too quiet out here. Isn't that the feeling that we have all the time? That's what he was also doing, Solomon. He was doing exactly the same thing. That's what we are taught to do. So in verse 11, Solomon finally gets it. Aha moment. He says, "Then I looked on all the works that my hands had wrought and brought, and on the labor that I had labored to do. Behold, all was vanity and vexation of spirit, and there was no profit under the sun." Then he goes into the verse 12, which has another title, which is his realization about what life is really all about. Without God, everything is pointless. Everything. So I'm going to read only because this is a longer chapter and I am already about 53 minutes. I tend not to make my videos too long because I know people nowadays are, filled with other thoughts and everything, busy agendas. So when you sit and listen to my videos, please take your time. Don't just listen them and be somewhere else with your head, because these are lessons that might really trigger things into you like they did with me, and that could change the entire course of your life. And I'm not saying this to make myself sound important. It's just how it worked for me. So never underestimate the power of a message or a sentence in a video. So listen with your heart. Please listen with your heart. So I'm going to read verse 17. Basically, I'm jumping. Therefore, I hated life, because the work that is wrought under the sun is grievous unto me. For all is vanity and vexation of spirit. So basically, all is vanity is repeated more than 100 times. Only that 3 words. All is vanity. That's a lesson he learned, that this is not his advice for us. He's not telling us, well, you know what, you have to find out for yourself. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. I think it is, I'm doubting. No, this is a conclusion he came to after everything that he did in his life. Therefore, I went about to cause my heart of despair of all the labor which I took under the sun. So basically, once he realized all was vanity, he came to that position of despair and feeling sorry about himself, because, oh, well, I figured it out, and what I figured out is not at all what I was expecting, right? And the verse 26 says, For God gives to a man that is good in his sight wisdom and knowledge and joy. But to the sinner he gives travail to gather and to heap up, and he may give to him that is good before God. This also is vanity and vexation of spirit. What he's saying here basically is that, these people that chase everything in life, success and fame and whatever you think they have, and then they disappear, right? Then you don't see them anymore. You're like, what happened to that guy? He sold the bestseller and then he disappeared and nobody knows about him anymore 20 years later, whatever, 10 years later. Those are the people that have that glimpse of success, or whatever you call it, for a moment in their lives. But the ones that have success for life and that have everything that they need to are the people that walk with God, not without God. Those are the people that walk with God in life. So I read basically the most important sentences that I believed were important for this message that I gave. But I am also going to go in my notes for a little bit, because I have written some very interesting sentences in here that I would like to share with you. Maybe they are important for you. And see what else I learned from Solomon. So basically the message he's giving here after everything he encountered was an absence of God in our life makes us feel empty. It's the presence of God that makes our life joyous. Why? Because he guides us. It's not about his presence only. It's not about him being there, us being on earth, and okay, he's watching over us and very interesting and nice, thank you very much, I'll keep going with my life. That's not it. You have to walk in life with God. It's a journey with God. A journey with God. Many years ago I had some interesting projects that they didn't go the way that I expected to go, but I was convinced that God had called me to do them. Right? And when God called me again to do something else, after many years, I was afraid. And I went to God and I prayed and I said, Lord, what if I don't make it? What if I disappoint you? Because see, in my life, it's not even about me. Walking with God is not about us. It's about what he wants to achieve through us. We are vessels. We are vessels to fulfill his glorious purpose in our lives, but also for the humanity in general, for the entire advancement of humanity. And in this case, since I'm talking about societies, for the advancement and enrichment and empowerment and movement of societies to the next level. That is what we all have to do on this earth. We might be called to do different things in different ways, but the purpose is always one: serving him through our purpose. It's all for the glory of God. So then I went in prayer and I said, what if I fail? And his answer came the next day. And he said, this time you won't fail, because this time you are walking with me. We do not realize how important is walking with God, how meaningful it is, how fulfilling it is. All of these things that we are trying to fulfill our lives with and to fill our lives with, they could be great tools to help us and push us forward, but they are never the purpose. They are never the goal in itself. If you ever make money, lust, achievements, career, your main goal, then you haven't understood your calling yet. You have to dig deeper. You have to keep asking God what your calling is. So, yes, that is what I'm also writing here. Solomon had it all, but in the end he realized that he had just a big void in his soul. This void in our soul, it cannot be fulfilled with whatever we are chasing. The void in our soul gets filled only by God, by the purpose that he has called us to do. Only by doing that he has called you to do, you will feel full. That is the only way. That is the only way. And no matter what everybody else is telling you, filter everything you hear, filter everything you see. Because we live in a deceitful world. We live in the midst of big deceit. I don't know if you have noticed, but the level of deceit in this world is scary. It is scary. To get to the point as societies as to feed the new generations who were supposed to take control of our future when we are here no more. The level of deceit that we are giving them, that we are bringing in their lives, telling them that all these shallow things are the answers to the happiness, that all these shallow things that they are chasing are the right thing to do. That is not a mistake. That is a purposeful deceit to get these people away from God even more than they are, to raise the new generation believing that God doesn't exist, that God is not even important, even if he does exist, that the universe is what's important, because the universe will fulfill your dreams. The universe? I'm sorry, but who created the universe? Because if you want to play stupid, okay, I'll play along. I'm sorry, but that universe that you believe in, who do you think, where do you think that universe came from? It's not the universe, it's God. It's God. Replacing God with universe, with the word universe, that is at very least an offense to the glory of God, to who he is, to the character of God. The deceit and the wickedness. Because when you do things on purpose to deceive people, to strive them, to get them out of the way, of the right way, so you could use them and misuse them and take advantage of them, that is no more a mistake. That is no more a mistake in this society. That is wickedness. It is on purpose. It is a purpose. It is purposefully done to derail humanity from their right path. And at that point, it becomes punishable by him. Those people who do that, they will not get away easy by doing those things. Never forget that. Never ever think that whoever does these things will get away without paying full price with interest. Yeah? So what else can I say? It's already 1 hour. I don't want you to lose interest. That's why I'm looking at the time. That, of course, is not the purpose and it's not the main goal of these videos. If you're interested, then you know it. If you're not, that's okay. Just take what speaks to you and what you can use and invest on that thing. You don't have to go for all of it and every word that I say. Most importantly, always check. Double check on what people tell you, including me. Double check. Open the Bible and read. If I'm saying the truth, in what I'm saying there is the right interpretation, go online, read, buy books, inform yourself. Inform yourself. Knowledge is power, right? So yeah, these are other titles that I had in mind for this video. Pursuit of the things that are empty. We try to find purpose by external things, but actually the purpose comes from God. It's internal. It's always internal. The calling is always internal. It's never external. It never comes with an advertisement on a magazine or a publicity on the TV on what you should do with your life. It's always a personal calling. He comes to you as a person, individually, personally, and he tells you this is what you need to do next. Follow my path. Follow what I'm telling you to do. Do not derail. Do not be distracted. People will come into your life to distract you. The enemy will come into your life to distract you, not because he doesn't know your value. You are not rejected on these jobs because people don't see your value. They reject you because they see your value, but they hope you don't see your value. They see what you have in here. They can sense your calling. Let me tell you something interesting. People will read your energy the moment you enter a room. Let me say that again. People will read your energy. We don't read faces. We read energy. The moment you enter a room, they know who you are. And everything they do to distract you, to remove you from your path is on purpose. There are no coincidences in this world. It's on purpose. And if you're not focused on what he has called you to do, you will be derailed. Now, here's the good news and the bad news. The good news is the enemy cannot steal what you have here. This right here is a gift from him. It cannot be stolen. But the enemy, that's the bad news, is he will try to distract you and derail you until you give up on yourself. Until you give up on yourself. So the problem Solomon had was he focused too much on the trophies, on the accumulation, on what he had, on the name he had created. Right? Isn't that what we do nowadays? But I need my name, right? I need to build my name. I need to build that because that's what sells. Your name, who you are, even though that name is completely fake, because you are not the same person. When you go home and you remove that makeup, you are not the same person. You don't behave the same way. You don't have integrity. That is what integrity is, to behave exactly the same in private as in public. When that door closes back home, you should be just as nice as the person that you introduce yourself to be in public. Because if you are not, then there's a mask there that's on and off every time you need it. In these societies we have created, we need to get rid of the masks. We need to get rid of the masks. Do not underestimate the power of a mask. What people are able and capable to do is beyond my comprehension. I don't know about you. Maybe this is something to talk about in another video, but the level of deceit, as I said, is beyond my comprehension. And what surprises me the most is the question as to why. Why do you need to put a mask on? Why do you hide from the truth? What is there that are you trying to get to achieve? Because people think that by deceiving and by putting a mask on and off, they will get ahead in life. That is not true. You might have something temporarily, but that is not there to stay, because that was not earned honestly. It was not earned based on who you truly are, based on this. And it was most importantly not the calling. That was you chasing all of those things, hurting other people to get ahead, just so you could have all of these things, to flaunt it around of how important you are. And then as Solomon understood it too late in his life, probably, by the end of his life, when it's too late to change and to check and to fix anything, you will find out that the life you have lived has been an illusion. It has been an illusion, a complete illusion. So do yourself a favor. Get back in track to what's important. With him, not alone. You don't have to do it alone. Nobody said we have to do it alone. That's the mistake we make. We think we are alone. We are not alone. We are not doing the things we are doing on our own. We are not. He provides for us. He protects us. He gives us everything we need. All we have to do is listen and obey. Obey to what he says, even when it makes no sense to you. Don't let your mind, your limited mind, to get in your way as to where you are going. Stay focused. The other issue that we have in our societies is what we glamorize, what we normalize, right? Our identities are being scattered all over the place. So basically, what we are teaching, what I said earlier, what we are teaching to young people, what we are teaching to each other, what we are taught. I mean, of course, we were also raised with wrong beliefs and right attitudes and everything. You wouldn't believe how many years of my life I have spent working on myself to remove and to rebuild the right things in my life. A lot of junk had to go away. A lot of unnecessary things that took space in my heart, in my mind, in my life, in my beliefs, in my freedom, in my identity. They were limiting me a lot. They had to go. Whether that was a job, whether that was a person, whether that was a family member, it doesn't matter what it is. It comes in different shapes and forms. You should be able to identify what that thing is that derails you from your identity. We are glamorizing and normalizing the wrong things, my friend. Yes, we are. Of course, nobody talks about that because everybody is involved in it. Almost everybody. I'm not going to say everybody, because there are people like me and probably like you that know what life is all about, and that they refuse to give up their true identity in him for the pleasures of this world. There are such people, a lot, more than you think. But most of the people on this planet, they still love to live the illusion that they have created for themselves and the illusion that the world sells them. But here's the lesson. The price that you pay for that, it's too high. The price that somebody who chases all of these things pays to have all of these things, it's too high. You don't pay in currency. You don't pay in pain only and frustration and whatever, sicknesses, whatever we have on this planet. The ultimate price for that betrayal that you do on yourself and on your true identity in God is your soul. Nobody is after your money. Nobody is after your fame. Nobody is after your pretty face. The enemy is after your soul. The real battle is for your soul. That's the ultimate war. And if you win that war, if you never ever give your soul to whatever you think that it will make you happy instantly, will have salvation, will have God with them for the rest of their lives. But you should stay strong. You should stay focused on your path. You should not derail no matter what. Yes, people will put you down. Yes, they will try to even steal your identity. That's how stupid some people are. They think they can steal that calling you have. It took me a while to understand what was happening, but when I understood that some people really, really think and do that, it hit me how foolish we are. We people are very foolish. We are very foolish. You cannot steal that from anybody because that's not from you. That's a gift from God. It's inside of me. It's not on me. It's not a crown you can have. That calling, that energy, that whatever you think I have that you want, that's not, you cannot have it because it's not from you. You cannot steal something you did not create. But see, the whole purpose is to not fall for that illusion that somebody could get that from you. No, they can't. They will try to derail you, to confuse you, to put you down, to attack your confidence. Oh, of course, they will try. A lot of people do that. Those are the wicked people. Those are not God's people. Do not fool yourself. If you have such people in your life, those are not God's people. Nope. No, my friend. Be careful. So, as you can see, the problems we have in our societies are not individual. They are not just personal issues. We have deeply rooted problems that we have to bring on the surface and process them and clean up and remove and replace with the right things, with the right thinking, with the right attitude, with the right behavior, with the right beliefs, with the right values. And that needs to be done together. But it always starts with you. It starts with you personally, with me personally, and everybody else. It starts with following our calling, because when we follow the right things in life, we give the right message. As I said in the beginning, life is a ripple effect. It has a ripple effect. It expands, and whatever you do goes, it influences somebody else. It goes further and further and further. If you say the right thing in a meeting, somebody else will be inspired. They will take that idea and they will sell it somewhere else. They will expand it. They will grow it because it's beautiful. And the same happens if you do the wrong thing. If you do the wrong thing, exactly the same will happen. Because that's what life is. So make sure you're following the right calling. Make sure you're following the right thing. Make sure you make the right choices in life. Because you will find out, just like Solomon in the end of your life, what life was all about. You will find it sooner or later, but the sooner you find it, the better for you. Because you can go back or take one step or two back and repent and remove the sinful ways of your life and, find yourself again, find your identity and stay there. Stay rooted in who you are in God, not in this world. This world does not belong to us. We are visitors in this world. We come and we go. We come because we have a job to do. We finish it and we leave. That's what this world is. But while we do what we have to do, make sure it's the right thing. Make sure you're doing the right thing. Because otherwise, you have to come back and redo it. I mean, I'm not deep into this kind of theories, but this is what I hear. It's okay. If you don't believe in it, you don't believe in it. That's fine. So, here's the final sentence so I can close this video off. Life is an opportunity, but without God is empty. He gives meaning to our life, not we. He gives meaning to our life and we live it the way he asks us and he calls us to do it. So this is what I had today for you, my friends. I hope I have stirred and I have sparkled something in your heart, in your mind, in your belief system, that you think it should be improved or changed, or something that will move you to do something out of your comfort zone, something that's important but you don't have the courage to do. This deeper life I believe in, it exists. You have to seek. You have to seek it. Nobody is giving us the instructions. The only instructions we have is this, the Word of God. And you have to believe in the Word of God and follow it without questioning it. Because the questioning part is not from Him. The questioning part is the inability of our inability as humans to understand, and our fear to live something that we don't see happening, that we should see everything, we should understand everything. Our inability and our limited ability to understand makes us question everything, makes us be anxious, makes us live a fearful life. That what if God exists? What if He doesn't? There is no if. There is no if. So, my friends, live your life as it should be lived. Focus on the right things. Do the right decisions. Walk in life with God. He will never ever abandon you. If you walk with Him, mark my word, He will never abandon you. Because you are His creation. You are made in His image. He wants you to prosper. But you have to be open to receive what He gives you. I wish you a very good day. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you would like, you can always subscribe and hit the like button and subscribe, and also the notification bell so that you can get new videos whenever I make them. And most importantly, enjoy and reflect on what you listen. Thank you for being here. Bye, everyone.